This is Non-Monogamous Mark coming to you with week 12 of my 12-week series of Habits of a Hero. And as part of my bigger series of videos about being your own hero and being the best you, authentic you, that you can possibly be. And so today I want to ask the question about how well do you listen? I mean, how well do you really listen? There's a book that I just love, and it's one of my favorite books. It's called Promptings. And one of the things that, it made very clear to me when I read this book was about how we are so easily, we squelch those promptings, in our early years. As we're in our 20s, usually it starts to happen, or maybe even before then. We have these little promptings in our mind, and we just start to squelch them in our life. We just get too busy. We don't listen to them. We ignore them. It's the little voices behind sometimes our subconscious mind, or it's what I call universal intelligence that is speaking to us and coming to us. And it's oftentimes it's in those promptings where we find our greatness. But however, we do such a good job at just squelching those, ignoring those. And after a while, we get so good at squelching them and ignoring them, they just stop showing up. And well, that is with so many other things as well, So this question about how well do you listen, it's a multifaceted question. It's about how well do you listen to yourself? How well do you listen to others? How well do you listen to universal intelligence? Now, universal intelligence, maybe you're not familiar with that, but every single thought that you can possibly think, do you really think that it's just amazing that it came to you and it's from you? And these thoughts that we have, these thoughts are what we use to create our life or not. And sometimes they're used to destroy our lives. They are used to create the world that we live in. It all comes from thought. And a couple of videos ago, I talked a lot about this. And the fact is that, these thoughts come from, you might call it a bank of universal intelligence out there. Can you imagine someone having the thought, let's say 1,000 years ago, and they had this thought of inventing software code and computers and all these kinds of things, that would have been totally out of place. But this big, huge bank out there of universal intelligence, it has all the thoughts out there, and it doesn't allow us to withdraw them before they need to be withdrawn, or before that it's the right timing to withdraw them. And we think of people like Einstein, though, that yes, his thought process was far ahead of all others, but his thought process was so far ahead of all the others. I think it was there to show us the possibilities, to expand our minds, and to understand that all of this universal intelligence that's out there for us to grab a hold of and to grasp is there for us to discover. And it's just waiting for us. And how does it wait for us? It waits for us by listening. Listening to yourself, listening to others, and what I call universal intelligence. In being your own best hero, or your own best authentic self, I'm going to talk about, being on a journey of growth. A lot of my videos talk about this journey through our lives where we're in a process of growth. Because our life, as I kind of think of it, I'm not a biologist or a chemist or anything like a science type person at all. But, the way I see things is that things kind of start with a seed. When I want to grow a vegetable garden, it starts with a seed. When I look at a forest here in Lake Chelan, a couple of years ago, just 2 years ago, 3 years ago, they had huge, tremendous forest fires here. Many homes burned down, and just forest fires all over that burned up the area. But, now there's new life, and all that new life starts with a seed. And even human life, starts with spreading seed, and so our life starts out as a seed. And just like any of the seed in these forests and the seed in a vegetable garden, if you've ever planted a vegetable garden or a flower garden, that seed needs to germinate, it needs to take root, it needs to grow. And, some seed has better advantages than other seeds. The soil conditions are better. And, the sun and the weather and the rain and the watering and the care that seed is given is better than maybe some others. And so all the seeds that's out there, they don't all have equal opportunity, so to speak. But if you make it to a point in your life, if your seed that was spread and sprouted and connected with an egg and your life then started to grow. And if you've reached this point of being an adult, then you now have the opportunity to pour on, create your own fertilizer onto that seed and keep it growing and thriving. Or you have the opportunity to make that seed become stale and stagnant and get stuck. All of this is your choice. But one of the things I've been doing over the last 2 years is really taking and studying this whole process of what I call this journey to your greatness and being your best authentic self. Just being your own hero. And I've been studying all of this for a couple of years now, and I've started to develop some series of steps that are very critical. And one of the foundation, in fact it is the foundation, it's the cornerstone in personal growth and development. It's the cornerstone in your own success. It's the foundation, it's the cornerstone, it's the foundational or fundamental element that is necessary in your own success. And that is, and for you to thrive now as an adult, no matter if you're an adult at age, you find yourself right now listening to me and you're 20 years old, or if you're 60 years old like I am, or if you are 90 years old, if you're still breathing, then you still have the opportunity for your seed to either thrive and grow, or your seed to become stale and stagnant, or your seed to start dying. I've told the story before that when I was in my 40s, I started to realize that I wasn't heading in the directions that I wanted to head in my life. And I started to check up and tune up my trajectory. Sometimes that meant doing a total turnaround. The great thing is that you have the opportunity to recreate things in your life that you want to recreate. And so how do you recreate that? How do you know what to recreate and where to recreate? Well, it all comes down to awareness. Last year, towards the end of the year, we had some fires in Ventura, California, where I also live. And those fires, it turned out they were the most devastating, the largest fire that the state of California has ever had in history on record. And so, thousands of homes and the amount of destruction and just the pure size of the area. It came within about a mile of where I live in Ventura. And a lot of people that we know were put on evacuation from their homes, where they had to leave their homes. And we meet people now where their homes burned down. And so they're given the opportunity to start over. But everywhere I go in Ventura, when you drive down the streets, there's these signs out there. It says, "Thank you, firefighters." And these people, of course, they just think that the firefighters are the greatest. And yeah, they are, because those firefighters saved a lot of life and a lot of property from being damaged by the fires. And these guys deserve to be heroes. But being your own hero, some of the same things that the firefighters had to do is the things that I've talked about in this 12-week series of being your own hero by creating hero habits. And one of the habits that we talk about, or we're talking about today, is that idea of awareness. When the firefighter goes out there, they've got to be aware of a lot of stuff. They're aware of their training, of course, but beyond that, it's got to go beyond what they're just trained to do. They've got to be, there's a spiritual element in it, there is a thought process element in it, there's an emotional element to it. They've got to be fully tapped in and aware of what's going on, not just physically or looking around them and seeing what's going on, but what's going on with, the wind and the temperature, and what's going on with other people, what's going on with the fire that's out there, what's going on with your own emotions. These guys have got to be fully tapped in, and they've got to be aware. And they do that by listening to themselves, they do that by listening to others, and they do that by listening to universal intelligence. Because there are many different ways that awareness comes to you, but awareness is the cornerstone, it's the foundation of your growth and your thriving in your life. And without awareness, then you'll just stay stuck and be the same place you are today if you don't become aware of things that need to change and things that you need to have grow and develop in your life. And so that's the importance of awareness, is that's where growth starts from. And so often, though, when we encounter awareness, we look at awareness, whether it comes from ourselves or whether it comes from someone else or universal intelligence, brings it to us. I had a situation like that a while ago. I'll share it as an example. I have rebuilt my life a couple times. I've been very successful in my life, and one of the things I've also had great success with since about 11 years ago, I became non-monogamous, and I've had great success in my dating life, being able to have lovely and wonderful partners, and so I've enjoyed that. My friends have come over and sat down and talked with me and about like, what am I not doing right that you're doing differently, and things of this nature, because I've had good success. Guys particularly find that can be very challenging to find women that they really enjoy and like to be with and to date or to have sex with, and so they've talked to me a lot about this. But there wasn't too long ago that I met a gal online, and I kind of, as I met her and started to chat with her, I mean, she was all excited about the things that we got to talking about, and she was a bisexual woman, so she was really excited about getting together with both myself and my other partner, Kat, and we went on for many conversations online and chatting about what we would enjoy experiencing together, and we were forming a relationship. There was a lot of chemistry between us. But then it came down, we had some pictures on that she had seen, but she then wanted to see a little more, and she asked for naked pics. And I realized then suddenly that I really didn't have any naked pictures of myself. I had naked pictures of Kat to share with her, but none of myself. And what that brought to me is a realization then, and is awareness that I didn't have naked pics of myself, because going back to when I was in junior high, I remember thinking when I was in junior high, back when I was growing up, that's called middle school for some of you who don't recognize that term. But back when I was in middle school or junior high, it was called back in my day, 7th, 8th, 9th grade, and you're going into the gym and having to take showers where other people are seeing you naked, and I tried to hide and cover up my parts of my body. Not the lower parts of my body, but above my waist, because I just didn't like how I looked above my waist. And so I was rather ashamed and embarrassed by myself. And I remember back in those days thinking about how I dreaded the day when I would get married, because I feel that, I knew that when I got married, I'd probably have to get naked in front of the gal. And it wasn't anything about waist down or anything, about being ashamed of having sex or anything of that nature. It was simply about having to really bare my physique and show myself from the waist up. I was afraid to death that I'd have to do that. And so that was, of course, many years ago. And I guess maybe that's one of the reasons that I became a nudist over the years. And in that I didn't want to feel ashamed of my body. And I wanted to be able to take and feel happy with my body. And even going out to a beach or to a party scene, man, let me get my clothes off. I'm excited to have my clothes off, But when it came to this gal, though, this woman that was asking them for some naked pics, I realized that I still carried with myself those long ingrained self-image issues, that I really was not comfortable with my naked body. In this gal, she's in her 50s and just absolutely, she's fit and trim and gorgeous, and no fat about her or anything. And as you all know from videos I've made, I've got a few extra pounds. I'm losing it right now. I'm at 210 pounds, but I'm 5'10", and so I've got a little bit to lose yet. But I've got a chunk of fat around my waist up, that I want to get rid of. You can see a little bit of it in my face, and as I continue to lose weight, then my face will trim down as well. But so I basically, when I'm around other people that I'm not concerned about them judging me for having a few extra pounds, then it's like no big deal. But when I'm with, maybe trying to date someone who does not have any extra pounds, then that's what really brings out all of these issues. And it wasn't something I had thought about for many years. And so I had to stop and I had to listen to myself. And as I stopped and I listened to myself, and the fact is, this woman, she wanted, she told us, she says, I wanted to be with you guys, and I was very excited about both of you, but then and I saw Kat's pics, and I was very excited about her, but then when I saw Mark's pic, I'm sorry, he's just not my type. And whoa, wow, was that hard to hit to take? And so, yeah, and I decided to turn that around. And that's the thing is, when somebody brings awareness to ourselves, we can take and we can excuse it. We can ignore it. We can get defensive and all kinds of different reactions that we can have. And with those reactions, and this is part of what I talk about, living your life with intention. Do you react in a way that's positive, with positive energy, or do you react in a way that's negative with negative energy? And I felt really bad. I felt really bad for my partner, Kat, because I know how much she's been really wanting to enjoy a woman like this. And then knowing that I was the reason that she wasn't going to be enjoying this woman, that felt pretty bad. But so, I didn't let those bad feelings take and stick with me. I turned it all around, and I realized, in fact, I even sent this gal a thank you email to say thank you very much for helping me to understand that it's not just what my body looks like, it's really the energy that I put off. And I put off an energy that I am not excited about my body. And that was kind of something that I had totally forgot about from going way back from middle school and junior high days, that has carried with me this long. Now I'm 60 years old and I still have it. And so I had to thank her for helping me to be aware that that's something I need to change in my life, is how I view and accept myself. And yes, I'm in the process of getting trim where I want to be. I mean, I started out, I gained over the course of the last 40 years of my life, I gained 95 pounds. Actually 100 pounds, excuse me. I gained 100 pounds. I got up to about 145 pounds. And then I had to start doing something about it. And so now I'm on my way. And so one of the things that I learned from this is going back to my own key words. I had this key word called, it was happy. And, I made a video about your 6 keywords. And it's really important to have these 6 keywords cemented in your brain. And so my 6 keywords were happy, healthy, fun, easy, international, millionaire. And so those are my 6 keywords. And I realized that happy, what does that mean? And so for me, I made a change in my 6 keywords. And so now, instead of happy, I replaced it with skinny. And because I want to be skinny. And so now my 6 keywords are skinny, healthy, easy, fun, international, millionaire. What are your 6 keywords? Maybe go back and check out that video about the keywords and help you to really boil down what's the keywords that you need to have. But so I realized, though, that we have to listen to others sometimes when it's not comfortable. And that's part of what awareness is. When those firefighters out there, I mean, it's not always comfortable being out there. And it's not always comfortable having to pay attention to the surroundings and see the things that are going on. It's not always comfortable having to walk away from someone's house because you can't save it. And so there's a lot of things that a hero has to face. And it's all about awareness, and then being able to use that awareness mixed it up with positive energy, and then make positive decisions. So if you make negative, you have got the negative energy going, you start making negative decisions, or decisions with negative energy, it's generally not going to end well. And so you want to make sure that you make your decisions. If you're in a place of negative energy, first work to get your energy positive, and some meditation will help with that, and just go through a little process. And sometimes it's just a matter of saying, okay, this day is just chalk it up, put it in the bank as being a spent day, and tomorrow's going to be another day, and tomorrow's going to be a great day. And so sometimes you just have to look forward to starting another day and starting new. Because you do. Every day you get out of bed, you got so much to be grateful for. Just think about when you get out of bed, you didn't wake up and find that you were incarcerated in jail somewhere. You didn't wake up and find that overnight something drastically happened to your health. You're breathing still. You didn't die at night during the night. And so you just look for the things that you have to be grateful for, and start thinking on those things, and be aware of those things that you have to be grateful for, and change the energy in your life so that you become from a place then and approach your day from that positive place of energy, and then start being aware, listening to things from yourself, your own thoughts, maybe your promptings and your little intuitions and things of that nature. Those can help to guide your life into areas that really bring out the greatness in you. How about your passion and your dreams and your goals? So often in our 20s we have passion and we have dreams and we have goals, but then we get into our 30s and those start getting beat down. And we don't succeed at accomplishing things. Maybe you wanted to be a millionaire by the time you were 30 and it didn't happen. Whatever was your case, but your dreams and your goals and the people you surround yourself with, they're people just like you. And that's why it's so important to surround yourself with people who have dreams and goals and accomplishments that are far ahead of where you're at, so that you can continue getting inspired by them. For myself, I had dreams and goals 10 years ago to start doing bicycle tours, and I had a custom bicycle made for me. It was a touring bike. I made bicycle tours. I'm talking about get on a bicycle and riding it 1,000 miles. Not 1,000 miles in a day, of course, but riding 100 miles a day. And going out for a 2-week bike ride where you spend once in a while, take a day off, or sometimes you don't always get 100 miles in for that day, but ride 1,000 miles in 2 weeks. And that was something I really wanted to do, but I just didn't have the time 10 years ago, and things came along in my life that really upset all of that, and then I got in a car accident. My touring bike got totaled, and that was 2 years ago. My touring bike got totaled, and I'm still recovering a little bit from that car accident. But then that even brought something really great to me. I've identified a bike that will be much healthier and better for me. I'm going to be buying that bike this summer, and I'll be telling you more about that as that happens. And but so it all worked out to be good, because my positive mental place is that things always work out for good. And in this case, they really did. They're working out for good. And because I've taken care of my health, that things are working out for good. And it's like, yes, you've heard me mention before, is that I feel like I'm now living my second life. And so from the age of 60 years old to 90 years old, I've got 30 years. Of course, I don't live until I'm well over 110 years old, but I've got 30 years now that I can really live a second life, and I can just have the best life ever, and I can create that life. But for yourself, don't wait until you're 60 years old for that. And so I'll be getting that bike here this summer, and I'll be starting to get out there and ride now. It's going to be a while before I build up to 100 miles a day, day after day, but I'll build up pretty quickly, and I'll start out, by riding, 20 and 30 miles, and then 30 and 50 miles, and then 50, and then 75 miles. When you think about it, you really break that down. On a bicycle, like when I get into reasonable biking shape, this bike that I'm buying, I'll clip along about 20 miles an hour. And so at 20 miles an hour, if I want to go on a 50-mile ride, that's really only 2.5 hours. And so in 2.5 hours, maybe if I take 4 hours to ride that so I can stop along the way and enjoy the ride, that's plenty of time to go on a 50-mile ride. An 8-hour day is an easy 100 miles once I get a little bit of stamina built up. And so these things you can do yourself, but don't squish your dreams. Don't squish the things that you're passionate in life about. And whether that be a passionate life about another person in your life, I have those passions about other partners in my life, and having sex with other women in my life, and I have got those passions. Or you're passionate about the things that you want to accomplish, that you're going to build your finances up, and so that your finances will be something where it gives you a greater ability to live the life you want. I recently heard someone say that she wanted to make enough money so that she could afford to make her life matter. And what she meant by that is that she was stuck making $30,000 to $50,000 a year, and with making $30,000 to $50,000 a year, she was just always having to just spend her life working all the time, and not really doing the things where she felt that she was really passionate about, where she was really gifted in, to help other people make their lives matter. And so she made a big shift in her life, because what she desired was so that her life truly could matter to others. And today she makes over $1 million a year. And this was just the last 5 years that she started this journey, and it started coming together very quickly. And so your life can happen like that as well. That's certainly my objective, and I know that it can be there for me, but don't let other people tell you that you can't do it. Listen to yourself. Listen to other people. Help to identify the things that you need to be aware of. Like I listened to this woman and helping me to identify that I really didn't have the body positivity that I needed. Other things, there are sometimes where we're just simply oblivious or we're rather delusional. My girlfriend here in Washington State, she has a son, and he's going through puberty. And one of the things about some guys, when they go through puberty, is they just stink more than other guys. And he's one of those kids that he just stinks. And I bring it to his awareness all the time. You stink. Well, the thing is that he's just rather oblivious to it, like his mom is. And so if I don't talk about it, then it's like they just remain oblivious. But then they get defensive, or at least he does. And he starts to make excuses. And I brought this up the other day in the car coming on this little trip, 3-hour drive from Seattle. And the thing is, then he says, well, my body just stinks. And well, when was the last time you took a shower and did something about that? Well, 2 or 3 days ago. The kid doesn't shower often enough, and then he changes clothes, but then he puts his clothes on a stinky body. And so it's like, learn and take care of yourself. And so we're the same way, though. Sometimes we're just oblivious and delusional about things. And we don't see the handwriting that's on the wall. And we need to be aware. And so wake up and be aware. And so that's, one of those things that it helps to be able to take input from other people without getting defensive and without making excuses. I remember I've told this many, many times because I get a lot of accolades. People are always saying really kind and good things. And I put it out there that I appreciate the kind and good things that people say. But what's even more meaningful to me is people's constructive criticism. Not destructive criticism where they're just trying to tear me down and chop my legs off, but constructive criticism where they're really trying to be helpful. Sometimes the fact is, a lot of times people aren't really trying to be helpful. They're trying to be destructive because they'd like to chop your legs off and see you fall. But you can take whatever destructiveness that they may throw at you, and you can make it constructive. And really taking a looking at it and saying, wait a minute, is there an element of truth to what they're saying? And a lot of times in my past, I've had experiences where people have been totally off the mark. When they've been criticizing me about something, they're totally off the mark. But I'll sit back and I'll say to myself, well, wait a minute, they may be off the mark, so like they're 90% wrong, but let me find that 10%. So that I can then, this whole interaction, this encounter I've had with this person that's trying to just chop my legs off, that I can benefit from it instead of having it be something that's negative and I just try to walk away from it, but try to actually turn it into something positive and look for that 10% that's truth in what they're saying, and that I can then to be more aware of myself. And sometimes that helps me to change my personality and develop myself into the more of the person that can be my best true self, is making little changes that come from being aware of negative stuff that people are trying to say sometimes. And so it helps to just be open to really looking for that 10% sometimes, so that you can become the absolute best version of yourself that's possible. So when you're thinking about this whole area of awareness, one of the things that's good to just realize and to accept is that we are all fucked up. There's not anybody that's not fucked up. And you can find things, sure, a lot of us try to hide the stuff that we're fucked up about. We try to hide that. Now, I know this is not usually language that I use on a video like this, but I really want to get this across to you. That so what? We're fucked up. So what? Move on and make the best of it. Make the most of it. Because there's not a one of us doesn't have areas where we're a little rough around the edges, areas that are our blind spots and our weaknesses and things like this. Just accept it. But as you accept it, go on with your life, working to be aware. And that's this week, and this is the 12th week of our 12-week series on the habits of a hero. And that's our habit this week to work on. The habit this week is to increase your awareness in all ways. Now, your awareness in all ways, it means the awareness that where you listen to yourself, you listen to those promptings, you listen to those little intuitions, and then you listen to your thoughts, and you listen to your dreams and your desires. And so then increase your awareness in all ways. Listen to others. You know, whether that be someone that's criticizing you, instead of getting defensive, instead of making excuses. Do you hear the excuses that you make? I mean, we all sometimes will make excuses for ourselves because we all get defensive. But then when you do that, take a step back and allow yourself to be aware and to hear and listen to the excuses that you are making. Listen to you getting defensive about things. You know, when you find that you're getting defensive, when you find that you're making excuses, then understand that that's where you need to open up your eyes a little bit and be a little more aware. And so the habit for this week, again, is to increase your awareness in all areas, in all ways. You know, where that awareness comes from universal intelligence, from yourself, and from others. Increase the awareness. Spend some more time listening and tuning in and keeping your energy positive instead of negative. So thanks a lot for taking a watch of this video this week. And I hope that you'll want to learn a little more about Non-Monogamous Lifestyles Association. We've got some really exciting things coming up. I know it's been a long time building the process here for me, but I'll be making more announcements on things that are coming up. But we want to help people that are interested in and curious about, people who are already living or transitioning to living a sexually liberated, non-monogamous lifestyle, providing them information and tools and support, education and opportunities. And we've got some great opportunities coming up. And so keep tuned in. But the way to keep tuned in is to go ahead and click on that link down there at the top of the description box. And when you click on that link, it'll take you over so you can get on our email list, and we'll keep you updated as new opportunities come around. That we'll go ahead and send out an email, and so that you kind of know what is going on with Non-Monogamous Lifestyles Association, and also what opportunities that you have of being your true, authentic self and the best version of you as possible, helping you to use your sexuality to liberate your life in ways that you never knew that it could, and increasing your abundance and liberation and your freedom in your life. And that's what Non-Monogamous Lifestyles focus is all about, helping you to do those things. And so also give this video a like, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Until next time then, have a great week.